Alrighty. It says you are live. Yay. So sometimes I get some viewers and then sometimes I don't get a whole lot of viewers. I was a little busy, so really didn't get the chance to like promote this one,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But people will kind of watch it on the playback. So don't be
Oh
alarmed if
yeah.
we're not seeing anybody because they'll be watching it later.
Yeah.
So you are the owner of Rhodes Hotel, which I have done before, and you were
Yep.
actually featured in that episode, which was really cool.
Yep.
So we investigated together, and
Yeah.
I don't remember everything that we got. I know we tried some REM pod action, and I
Mhm.
think we got some responses when we were. Is that Sarah's room?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Is it red?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, yes, I really liked that room.
A little bit different red from what's in this room.
Yeah.
I'm in the dining room right now.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about how you acquired Rhodes Hotel?
Yeah. So anyone that's familiar with the paranormal field would probably know of Ashmore Estates, which is in Illinois.
Yes, I've done
Robin.
that one as well.
Yeah, yeah, I know you've been there as well. Robin Terry, that owns Ashmore Estates, is a big supporter of my charity, which helps amputee kids get prosthetics. And we both knew the person that owned Rhodes Hotel at the time,
Mhm.
and she had called Robin and said, "Hey, do you know anybody that'd be interested in buying the hotel? I'm looking to sell it." So Robin was like, I'll make some phone calls and check around and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
He ends up getting a hold of me and he's like, "So what do you think about the charity owning Rhodes Hotel?" And it would be constant income each year that would be coming in for the charity to help us be able to help kids. And I was like, "Well, I like the idea, but there's two problems with that. One, I don't have the funds to buy the place.
Right.
And two, even if I had the funds to buy the place, that's a lot of kids. I mean, I could help kids with that money." So I'm
Yeah.
like, "I like the idea, but I can't. I'm out."
Yeah.
His response was, "That's not what I'm asking you." He
We're
said,
not
"I'm
asking for
asking,"
that.
yeah, he's like, "I'm asking you, what do you think about the charity, excuse me, owning Rhodes Hotel?" It's like, "Okay, I'm listening." So he said, "My thoughts are, what if you had someone loan you the money and it would be interest free?
Mhm.
And what would happen is we wouldn't touch any charity funds. And when we rent the place out, to do investigations and then we do public investigations, a portion of that money would go back to him to pay off the loan. And then a
Right.
portion stays with the charity. So we're not touching any charity funds to do it. And it's going to be bringing in funds to the charity as we're paying off the place."
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, yeah." I was like, "I'm in. Let's do it." I thought we don't have to mess with any charity funds, no interest loan. I've been crazy not to,
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be crazy to not do
Who
it.
would be like, "No, no, I'm good.
No,
Thanks.
I'm going to
I'm
turn
all
it down.
right." Yeah, yeah,
We don't want any of that.
yeah. So after all this stuff happened, we talked to the owner, we worked the deal out, and we kind of silently kind of shifted everything. And like, we contacted the people that already had bookings here and told them, said, "Hey, there's going to be new ownership.
Yeah.
We're going to honor all, we honored all the bookings that was already booked. We honored all that stuff." And then we started pushing the place even more. And so we technically took over before we even signed the
Yeah.
paperwork, before we even bought it. I mean, it was a done deal. So we're just like, and she was just like, "You know what? I'll just go ahead and give you control of the place now." So we took over in, like, I don't know, maybe like July or August of 2017. And I think we signed the paperwork in like September 17
Oh, that's awesome.
when it was actually official.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's when we kind of announced everything right around that time and just said, tell everybody what was going on, because nobody knew what was going on. There was
Yeah.
even people, we had some people like that the previous owner knew, some of the real close friends that they knew, that Robin and I knew as well. We all came over here to Rhodes Hotel and everybody's thinking, "Oh, we're just hanging out." But really, we were bringing everybody in to tell them what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because even like close friends that was involved with her and involved with us, nobody knew. So we brought them in. I mean, and we got looks like, and the confusion. It's like, what
How did
did
you
you guys just say? Yeah. So we're like, no, yeah, it's sold. It's the charity's taken over with it. So a lot of people was shocked with it, but of course everybody was happy because they knew that the place was going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
That we would try to make improvements to the building, and as much as we could, we would try to do that stuff as well as keep doing what the charity does, which is help kids. So win-win.
So, do you want to talk about your charity for a little bit?
Yeah. So I guess maybe I should start at the beginning to kind of make sense of everything. It usually makes it a little bit easier because I have so many people that come back and they're just like, how does this tie into the paranormal? Because, like helping kids, paranormal, that doesn't fit. So I had a venous malformation in my right leg since birth. Basically, the veins were just knotted up. The circulation was bad, constant pain and swelling. And eventually I got to the point that I got blood clots. So my doctor tried a few things, and then he sat down and he finally just like we sit down one day and had an appointment, and he was like, look, you basically have two options. He said, you can either risk a blood clot, going to your heart or your lungs and possibly killing you. Yeah. He's like, if it does that, it could kill you if it dislodges. And I'm like, okay. He's like, or we can amputate your leg just above the knee and hopefully get everything. And then you'll somewhat be normal after that, get a prosthetic leg and all this stuff. This was back in late 2009 when that happened. And in 2010, I had the amputation. And probably 3 or 4 years prior to that, I had started doing investigations and stuff. I was like the tour guide at Waverly Hills. When people rented Waverly Hills out, I was pretty much the guide most of the time. So I was already in the paranormal field when the amputation happened, and just meeting people over time. When it got to that point when I lost my leg, I struggled to get help that I needed, and I couldn't find where I would get the help that I needed.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking about kids. Like one of the things that they told me when I got the prosthetic was, if you gain weight or you lose weight, we have to make a new socket, which is the part that goes over the part of the leg that I still have left.
Yeah.
And if we have to make that, they're like, in your case, you're fully grown. And they're like, in your case, it's probably $10,000 to $15,000.
That's just a lot of money.
Yeah, just for the sockets. Gosh. Yes, I'm like, seriously? The next thing it's kind of went through my mind was kids. I mean, kids are constantly growing.
They grow so fast, yeah.
Yeah. So I learned that most kids will go through probably 2, maybe even 3 or 4 sockets in a year.
Oh my gosh.
They have a leg amputation. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like going through shoes.
Yeah.
Some kids can go through shoes really quick in a year. And for kids, I learned with them, it's probably, like $5,000 to $8,000 for a socket. So, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
The cost. Yeah, it's crazy with the cost. So I'm thinking, how do they get help? It's like I had problems trying to get help myself. So my thoughts were, I'm going to start a charity, and it's going to kind of stem off of the struggles that I had, and it's going to help kids. And I'm thinking, the other side of that, I'm like, what? This is a chance to do something good for something bad that actually happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm able to turn it around and turn it into something good to be able to help somebody else. So I started the charity, and then when it got to the point, I'm like, what am I going to do for fundraisers? It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, I don't know what to do for events and stuff like that. So I start calling people like Grant Wilson and Chip Coffey, just all these people from the TV shows, and saying, hey, what do you think about, we'll get a place. We'll get a place somewhere, it's rumored to be haunted, and we'll sell tickets and people can come out and investigate with you, and it's helping the charity.
Yeah.
And I got so much support from it.
That's amazing.
So many people. Yeah. So many people that's helped, with it. I mean, even here at Rhodes Hotel, I've had Grant Wilson's been here. Chad Lindbergh's been here. Ben Hansen. We've had a number of people that's been here that could come out and help us raise money. So yeah, that's kind of how everything tied in because, like
Yeah.
I said, people just scratch their heads and like helping kids isn't it?
Well, yeah,
What's
I
it tie
think
in?
this is the only thing that I've seen where people tie something like that together and make a charity for it.
Yeah, well, it was the
Um,
only thing I knew. I mean, it
yeah,
was like I was familiar with the paranormal field, and I knew the people from the TV shows, and I mean, because when I sat down, I was like, I don't know what to do for fundraisers. It's like, what do I do? I mean, ask people to bake a bunch of cakes, and so,
yeah,
I mean, I wanted to do something that I could do to be able
yeah,
to
yeah.
help instead of rely on other people. So yeah, that was the best idea I had at the time, and honestly, it's helped out a lot. I mean, it's gotten a lot of people involved and really heavily into the paranormal field. And if it wasn't for starting that, I probably wouldn't have this place here and doing what we're doing with it
Yeah.
now.
I think it's an amazing project to work on and see the charity just come to life. And I follow your Instagram and stuff and I see all these people and I see you meeting like so and so and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh. You're meeting so many people."
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, back in the beginning when I was doing things at Waverly, doing the tour guide for the investigations and stuff, and then you meet some of the people from the TV shows, and it's just like random because they'll do events there or something, and you just meet them and you get to talk to them for a little bit, and then you see them again, and and eventually they remember
Yeah.
who you are,
We are,
like
yeah.
that, and but there was so many shows that I would watch, and, like Ghost Hunters and stuff, and it's you don't imagine yourself later in the future like actually being friends with some of these
So,
people.
yeah.
Um, I mean, it's nuts. Like you're probably familiar with Josh Gates.
Yeah, I know who Josh Gates is.
Yeah, he did a charity event with me years ago. I mean, when it was Destination Truth on Sci-Fi
Oh, yeah,
Channel.
yeah, I remember
This has
that.
been a while. Yeah, this has been quite a while back. And you know, I would run into him every now and then, and he'd just like, hey, hey man, how's it going, and all that stuff. And you
Yeah.
think, and then I hadn't seen him for like a few years, and I mean, I loved that show, and then you got
Yeah.
Expedition Unknown now. So I mean, I was a fan of Josh, and then we get, I don't know, I think it was before the pandemic, maybe like 2018, at Michigan Paracon, and
Uh-huh.
I have a table set up, and I'm in this little small room with some of the other vendors and some of the other celebs and stuff that's there. And when you go out that door, there's like this big hallway, and it's open. And Josh had this huge line that goes around, and his table's right outside that
Yeah.
door, right? And it was so crazy. Like he's sitting there at the table and signing autographs, got this big line. And I walk out and I look over and he looks up about the same time and he's like, oh, hey, man. And he gets up, he
Hey.
stands up and he starts walking over. And he's just like, how's it going? And I'm just like, not too bad. I'm like, I'll come back because
Please
you got
don't
this
ditch your
line.
fans.
Yeah, I'm like, like you got this huge line. I was like, I
Yeah.
can come back and we'll talk later. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. So then he just goes back and yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, because I know that you texted me and told me that you were going to that. And I've always wanted to go, but I've never gone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun, it's a blast. It's a trip because I mean it's in Sault Ste. Marie. I mean, you're literally up by Canada, but it's so fun. I mean, it's of course it's changed, it's shifted a little bit since the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I mean, before there's like it's at a casino, and before you do the event during the day, it shuts down 5, 6 in the evening. People disappear because they go have dinner and stuff like
Yeah.
that. About 8, 9 o'clock, the bar that's in there like just starts picking up because they do karaoke and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, all the people from the shows literally come out and they hang out with everybody.
That's awesome.
I mean, like anybody that bought a ticket can go up and talk to them, and some of them would even do karaoke some songs, and it's a blast. I mean, if you get a chance to go, that one's so fun.
That sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
What month is that in?
August.
August.
I
Okay.
think this year, I think it's August 26th through 28th, I think.
I'll have to like figure something out so I can go.
You should. It's
'Cause
a lot of fun.
I like singing. Like I like the concept of karaoke. I've just never actually like done it. So I feel like that would be really fun.
Yeah, I just observe.
Just-
I don't. If I tried it, it would clear out.
Oh,
Everybody would be like,
no.
let's go somewhere else.
So
Yeah.
who's your favorite karaoke person from the
Oh,
TV
man.
shows? Who does well?
That's hard to say because
Do they all do well?
well, yeah, for the most part, yeah, just about everybody
That's
does a good
awesome.
job, and yeah, I mean they have so much fun doing it.
I bet, yeah.
I know. I'm trying to think of who it was. It was Dustin Perry and
Yeah, I know who Dustin Perry is.
I can't remember who did it with them. Somebody else came in and they were doing "Sweet Caroline," Neil
Oh, yeah.
Diamond. Yeah, so that was funny because then the chorus, then all the crowd participation.
Yeah, I bet.
In there, yeah, I remember that, and so many songs that people would do. But it's so fun. I think you'd have a good time if you
I
were
think
able
I
to
would
go.
have a good time.
Yeah, it's a blast. I mean, especially where people kind of come out at night and just hang out. You don't have to wait in line to get to the person you want to talk to or get an
Yeah.
autograph from. I mean, they take pictures all evening and they just hang out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. Because I know you definitely have met Nick Groff because you guys did that
Yeah,
little documentary thing.
yeah, Unlimited Journey.
Yeah. You guys did that together. I've met Nick Groff once, and he was super nice. But he always seems to comment on everything that I say to him, which
Yeah.
I think is really weird. And he made a comment about my mom, actually, which is really funny because when I met him in person, we talked about my mom. And he was like,
Mhm.
the next time I talked to him, which was like months later, he was like, hey, make sure you say hi to your mom. And I was like, oh, fuck, like you actually remember little old me because I ain't nobody.
I don't know how he remembers things.
I
and,
don't know
like,
how he remembers either because I have so many people I talk to and sometimes I get them messed up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I'm such an ass.
And he tries to keep up on social media.
He does, yeah.
He tries hard. I mean, he doesn't always get to everybody and respond, but he tries. Nick's a good guy. So yeah.
So you've done a lot of investigating.
Mhm.
What is your favorite place to go to?
Oh man.
Do you have a favorite?
All of them.
I feel like that's a hard question because I
it is, yeah.
Too.
It is because I mean I've been to Ohio State Reformatory. I loved it.
I have not been to that one.
It's awesome.
It
was a Nick Groff tour event that I went to. I've been to Brushy Mountain Prison. It's in Tennessee. That's another cool place. I had a odd experience there.
Really?
Yeah. It's it's kind of funny. They kind of made fun of me on that one. It was it was a Nick Groff tour event. Because I usually we're friends. Like I go and I'll set up and promote Rhodes Hotel and I'll promote the charity and stuff there. And so my sister and I went. I'm almost positive my sister was with me at that one, and we go. We're hanging out, and I talked to one of the tour guides there, and they're like, you want to go down and check the hole out, and I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
So So I mean, so they're just getting to switch the groups out. So everybody comes out of that building. There's nobody in the building. So, and it takes a while for them to rotate because the place is so big, right?
I bet, yeah.
So I go in and I sat down and you could put your hand like this in front of you and you can't see. That's how dark it is in there.
Yeah.
And the room's really small. So I get they got this metal bed frame, it's sitting there, because prison. So you know how those are. So I go and I sit down. The wall is right here by me, and then I lean my crutches over in front of me in the corner, and we sit there for a few minutes in the dark. And then the tour guide was just like, well, I got to go and make sure the groups get changed out and, wait for the next group to come in and you're ready to go. And I'm like, I'm going to sit here for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll just sit.
Yeah, so like, okay, this is my flashlight.
Yeah.
I don't run around with flashlights usually. So when I'm there, the iPhone, I just, got the light on the back. It's convenient, it's handy, puts out enough light.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in there and I'm by myself and I feel something go like this, like somebody grabbed my arm.
Nothing.
And I was like, okay, wait a minute. There's nobody in here because if somebody would came in, they would have had to have a light on to come into the room. Two, I would have heard them walking down, that area to come into the room.
Mhm.
So I'm like, who's beside me? So I grabbed my phone, just to turn the flashlight on, just to verify, okay, even though I know there's nobody beside me. So I go and I'm like, try to turn the flashlight on, doesn't come on. So I'm like, okay, I'll just open up the screen.
Yeah, yeah. And then
And
I'll
I'll
just
shout
point
it
it.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wouldn't do anything. And I'm like,
Of course.
seriously? Yeah, I'm like, seriously, this is not cool. So I'm uncomfortable because this happened. And I know there's nobody in there. And I'm sitting in the dark. I can't see anything. I can't see to get out. I'm on crutches. So that makes it even worse because, what am I going to do? It on the crutches and be like, start feeling around like, how am I going to get out here, So, because I have no light. So the group comes back in, and then Lee Kirkland, which is part of Nick Groff Tour.
Yeah, I know who he is.
And so he's coming down with Nick. They bring the group in. They start doing an EVP session. And I'm like, I don't want to sit in here anymore.
No, I'm done.
So I'm just like, guys. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, can somebody come get me out of the hole? And they're like, yeah. And they're just, you hear them laughing. And I'm like, seriously, why are you laughing? It's like, somebody grabbed my arm. I'm uncomfortable and you're laughing at me. And they're just like laughing. And they're like, yeah, we'll come get you.
It's just funny that you have to like ask, can somebody come get me?
Yeah. I mean,
I understand it, but it's just the concept is funny.
Yeah, it is. It was hilarious after it happened. Of course, I was uncomfortable at the moment.
Oh yeah.
But so Lee's laughing. I could hear him walking down the hall laughing, and I see the flashlight, and he comes in. And he's like, "What's going on? What happened?" And I told him what happened, and he's like, "Oh." So I go back into the room where they have the group and they're doing the EVP sessions. The whole time they're in there, I'm not paying attention to this EVP session or anything that they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm messing with my phone trying to get it to work.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do anything at all. So after the next group gets ready to rotate, I go out of the building, I go up the stairs, and then when I get out of the building, the Apple logo just pops up and the phone powers on. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
that's good.
Yeah, so, that's convenient.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, I see how it is, but that's my crazy little story at Brushy Mountain.
Wow.
That they still laugh at me about.
Yeah, I'd laugh about that too.
Yeah, I do too now because I just tell the story and it's kind of funny.
I did Waverly Hills not too long ago. I know that you said that you were a tour guide there, but I had a lot of issues with my phone there. It was like not enough space. And I'm like, I literally just deleted almost everything that I own. How do I not have enough space? Yeah. And it would film for a little bit and then it would just turn off. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get an episode. And I paid so much, which thankfully I was able to actually like capture stuff and I didn't lose anything. But it was just rough. I was like really nervous about that. It's
crazy how much we rely on our phones.
It is.
You don't think about it at the time until things like that happens.
Yeah.
You're going to get stuck in the hole in the prison. That's very haunted and you can't see. You don't think about it so much, but it's nuts how we rely on all this stuff. But I'm sorry, I took a hard turn on what the question was, but I mean, some of the other places, I mean, I've been to the Stanley Hotel a few times.
I haven't done that one. I think you've done all the I haven't done.
There's some other ones I really want to do. I mean, I'd like to go to Lizzie Borden.
I haven't done that one.
I'd like to go to Eastern State. I'd like to go to Alcatraz.
Eastern State doesn't allow people to do it anymore.
Really?
That's what I was reading. Yeah, because I've reached out to them. They won't answer me. I don't know if it's because I'm just like little old YouTuber or whatever. But I was reading on their website that they no longer offer paranormal stuff at all,
Huh.
which is a
Well, that
little sad. I
sucks.
don't know why.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to like dig around and figure out, but like everybody says that they can't figure it out either.
Yeah, I didn't know
I've always
they
wanted to go to
stopped.
Eastern State too, so like that kind
Yeah.
of sucks.
Yeah, there's a lot of places I'd like to go to.
Yeah,
Myrtle's Plantation, that's another one I'd like to go to.
I'd like to go there too.
Yeah, there's so many of them to name, but there's of course some of the places, like I said, I can't really name one favorite because I guess because each location is so unique. I mean, there's different experiences that you have in different
Yeah,
locations, and I think that probably contributes to making it harder for picking a favorite
picking a
because
favorite, yeah.
yeah, I mean because
And like it's also like everybody experiences things differently. So
yeah,
like where I might be having a wonderful time and getting a bunch of activity like somebody else might not be. So they
yeah.
might look at it as in like, oh, it's not that haunted, but like that's not necessarily the case.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and and I have people that come here and say, "Oh, it's been quiet. We really haven't had too much happen all night." And I'm like, "Have you been running your recorders all night?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Check those because even though
check
you
those when you get
think,
home.
yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you think it's quiet, and the recorders could tell a whole nother story."
Right.
So yeah, I always encourage people. I'm like, use your recorders as much as you can because if you think you didn't get much activity that whole night, I mean, you might get home and it might be a whole different story, from
Yeah.
that. You might get all kinds of stuff from it. Because I do have people get a lot of EVPs here.
I think I did get a couple EVPs if I remember correctly. I know
Yeah.
that my music box, I placed it on the table in the little like dining area, and it would
Hmm.
like it kept going off for some reason, and I'm like, there's nothing in front of it. Like, why is it going off? I do
Yeah.
remember that. And actually, your place was the first place that I used my portal device when I got it.
Hmm.
And remember, I was having so many issues, and I was
I
so
remember
pissed off.
that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because like the cord was broken or something, and I was like, what is going on? I
Yeah.
was not happy.
Yep. And another thing, like here is sometimes, I mean, you think there's not much going on, and then something will just bam, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden. Chris Fleming, Chris Fleming,
I think I
he
know who that
was,
is, yeah.
yeah, he did, was it Psychic Kids and some other shows and stuff. And he did an event here. This was actually back this past August, I think it was
Mhm.
beginning of August. And the whole group was in the dining room. He set a REM pod right here on the table. And as you know, there's nothing around the table. There's nothing
Yeah.
that would set it
No, there's
off.
nothing.
It sat here for like 3 hours and nobody was even around, like close to it, like by the table. I mean, because we had chairs and stuff that was kind of scattered around. And Chris is like sitting over here, like maybe about 10 feet from where I'm sitting. And I was sitting a few feet over away from him, like toward the hallway that goes toward the bathroom.
Mhm.
And we're just sitting there, and it's almost like somebody just went up and just grabbed it because I mean, it just
Oh,
went
yeah.
nuts. And
You
it
know
sat there for
what?
like 3 hours.
That's really funny because I think we did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I think I asked you, "What should I do?" And you said, "I think you need to leave it here." So we left my little REM master thing on the table, and we went upstairs for like a half hour or so, and
Yeah.
I left a static cam on it, and I think it did go off a couple times.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh, that's really weird," because we weren't even like downstairs, we were upstairs
yeah.
at that time.
That happens. Like, I mean, it's not like all the time, but
Yeah,
it happens time to time. You get random stuff like that that'll just happen. It'll be
yeah.
quiet as can be for 2 or 3 hours, and all of a sudden, boom.
It's just like, "Oh my god."
Mhm.
So, you spend a lot of time at Rhodes Hotel.
Mhm.
So, is there anything that stands out in your mind as being, maybe I phrased that wrong. Is there an event that you have experienced that makes you go like, "What the fuck?" Or, like, anything major happen, like, paranormal wise there?
Um, Nothing that's like freaked me out. Like, but I've had weird things happen. One of those, actually, I've got two stories with that.
Okay.
The first is like right after we took over. See, I live on the property now. There's an addition that's built onto the backside of the hotel,
Mhm.
and I stay here now because I lived like 2.5 hours from, excuse me, from here.
Yeah, it's a
So I
long
was
way to
driving
drive.
back and forth. Yeah. So I was just like, when, done with that. So we remodeled that area, and then I just moved, sold the house and moved up here. And I had the group here one night and I drove up, let the group in. And then at the end of the night, I don't remember what it was, but the next morning I had to be back for something. I can't remember what it was. So I lock everything up. I go upstairs, make sure everything's, fine and in place and everything. I leave, I go home. I've got cameras here. At that time, there were only 2 cameras, but
Yeah.
I knew everybody that had a key, and I knew none of those people were going to be coming here that night. So I go home, I come back the next morning, I go upstairs. Every one of the doors were closed. Like every single door to all the rooms were
Oh
closed.
my gosh.
Yeah. So I get to the top of the stairs in room 2. I open the door, and then 3,
You're like,
4, 5.
"Oh my
Yeah. And then I go over to 6, and then I open the door up, and then, I come all the way back around. Then I come hit Sarah's room and, open all doors up. I go over the stairs, get ready to go down the stairs. The preacher's room is I don't know if you messed with that door in there, but the door closes like it's like one of those that slowly closes.
Yeah.
It doesn't swing, fast. And I'd open all those up, and from the preacher's room, I come back down the hallway, come around. Sarah's room's last. Come back out, get ready to go down the stairs. That door slams. So I'm like, all right, if you want to, I'm like, all right, if you want it closed, I'll leave it closed.
Sorry.
Yeah, no big deal. I'll leave it shut, So I just came on downstairs. The other story was the very first public investigation we did. It was a full overnight, actually. And you notice, like, anybody that watches this that hasn't been here, when you go up the stairs to go upstairs, you have the hallway, but when like room 2 is right at the top of the steps. So the door is right here, and outside that doorway, there's a corner that comes out like, probably a couple feet, maybe something like that. And then it goes down the hallway. So anybody that's been around me, I'll lean the crutches into the wall. So there's, if I stand them up, it's too easy for them to fall. So I don't want them to hit people. So I lean them into that corner there, and we're sitting there, and the whole group is there. So I know where everybody's at.
Yeah.
Crutches are behind me, and there's somebody sitting right beside me. So neither one of us are close enough to even touch the crutches. And I hear something over like in the area, like where Sarah's room and then the room across from there is.
Okay.
So I'm focused over there, but then I start to turn my head, and right when I turn my head, I see the crutches going like this. I mean, they're like somebody, and it was like, yeah. So I grab them real quick so they don't hit the person sitting beside me.
Yeah.
And then the people that were sitting across, they're like, that was so weird. And I'm like, why? And they're like, it looked like somebody maybe would have, like, how you get behind something and just kind of nudge it out.
Yeah.
It's almost like somebody just gently pushed them out, because they said they just raised up and just.
They were like, you
fall.
Don't need these anymore.
Yeah, you're healed. But it was so crazy. But then I told Grant Wilson and Chad Lindbergh, when they came here to do the charity event, I told them about that incident. And you can probably find this like on my Instagram, or probably like Facebook or something, like you can probably find it on my social media pretty easy. Mm-hmm. But when they were here, we have the one camera that's in here in the dining room that sees this whole room. Yeah. Everybody in the group was in this room, and we were investigating and asking questions and doing different things. Chad would grab one of my crutches and like go in different areas of the building and like lean it up and be like, can you knock his crutch over? Because after I told him the story. Yeah. So nothing happened. At one point, I hear him going upstairs with the crutch, and I thought, he's going to go.
Put it in the same
where
spot.
I told this. Yeah, it's like, that's what I'm thinking. So he comes back down. We're probably sitting here for maybe another, 10 minutes or so maybe. And Grant was like, why don't you ask some questions? He said, because they're more used to you, like you're always here, you're familiar. And I'm like, all right, I could do that. So I said, hey, Chad, where did you take the crutch at? And he's like, oh, I went halfway up the stairs and just leaned it on the wall. By the time I asked him that, it'd probably been leaned against the wall for probably 15, 20 minutes. So I'm over by the side door, sitting it, just sitting there at a table like that we had set there, for people coming in. And after I asked Chad that, I said, "So whoever knocked the crutch over a few months ago, can you do it again?" Everybody's completely silent.
Waiting.
Yeah, and probably 10 seconds probably goes by, and then you just hear a thump. And
No.
then Chad just like, if anybody knows Chad, he freaks out and he goes running down the hallway. And the crutch actually was at the bottom of the stairs.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And then the cool thing is like where the cameras pick up movement, like the one that I have here in the dining room, it was recording because there was movement. It actually recorded me asking the question, and then you hear the silence, and then you hear the thump. Yeah. So,
awesome.
yeah, it was pretty neat that we caught that. But now I have a camera at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, if this ever happens again,
I can put it there now.
Yeah, it's like too bad it wasn't there back then.
Yeah, that really sucks. But.
Yeah, I got smart now, so over time, like I figured, I learned different things like that. So I'm like strategically placing it. Like it's more for people. If somebody tried to break in and for some reason got in, I catch them. But after that happening, I'm like, that's a perfect spot for that camera.
Gotta try to get in the activity on the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe one of these days it'll happen.
That'd be awesome. So I don't want to keep you for too long because I know that you said that you got some things going on and you're tired. So where can everybody find your information? So if they want to donate to your charity, where can they do all that?
Yeah, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org and you can donate there. You can find the Instagram and the Twitter pages for the charity on there as well. And of course, you can look up my name, Mike Couch, on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. And I'm always posting stuff about, the hotel and like the events and stuff that we're doing. And you can also go to rhodeshotel.com because we do public events, public investigations every month. We rent the place out for private investigations and stuff. So people can go there as well and book stuff, and it helps the charity.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will chat with you guys next time. So I'm just going to